It's up to you, New York, New York.
How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on YouTube until Facebook stops wilding. I'm your host, Richie. With me, my guy, Mr. Idris Salam, a.k.a. Bosco from the Bronx. How you doing, boss? I know you had a bit of a long day, but hopefully it's getting better.
Hey, whenever I get on this show and start talking sports, the world changes for me. I'm ready.
Facts. I'll share your sentiments on that. On tonight's show, in lieu of the NBA season coming to an awesome conclusion, we're going to be hitting on the greatest point guards of all time. We're going to revisit another show that we did probably about a year and a half ago. We're going to be hitting on the best floor generals to ever do it and break them down into different categories and do our best to give each and every player a respectable amount of shine. As you may know, unless you live under a rock, the New York Knickerbockers are the new world champions. They are atop the NBA mountain. And to some of the San Antonio contingent that had so much negative stuff to say to me, just be glad I'm in Facebook jail, because I am looking forward to getting back in that page and just kind of getting back to the matter at hand. The Knicks overachieved what I said. I said Knicks in 6, they won in 5. We're also going to do a little bit of a Knicks send-off as, I think the fan base and the players are kind of done partying.
Yeah. But
once it hits your lips, it's just so great. Go ahead, Mr. Salam.
The thing about it, I still get those good chills when I watch the videos of the fans going crazy. It's like it's been 53 years. I was 7 years old when they last won. I didn't see it. I didn't understand what was going on, and it's like I'm still celebrating because I'm celebrating now because of Jalen Brunson, because everybody doubted. I didn't doubt him. I wanted him in the Knicks because I was a fan of his father. But everybody doubted him. Everybody doubted him, especially old Becky Hammond. Everyone doubted him. And like I said, we don't win without him. So I'm still celebrating because of him. And I'm glad that I'm seeing our players, like OG got his own shoe, and Cat's doing this, and Josh Hart's doing that, and Jalen Brunson's at WWE. And they think about putting him on an episode of Law and Order, SVU, which is great because he said he always wanted to be on that show. And, of course, Mariska Hargitay is actually, one of the executive producers of the show, him and Chris Maloney. So he wants to be on the show and then working on it. And as we heard that Ben Stiller is trying to do a docu-series on this team. So I'm still hyper, man. I'm still
You know,
He's still in the
I'm going to
clouds.
elaborate for a second before we get into the point guards.
Yeah.
I've already made it clear on many a YouTube short that I feel
Mhm.
that this team is so very likable because they have a lot of individual personality. You look at Mitchell Robinson,
Yeah.
just one of the kindest players off the court.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Big
with
country boy.
personal, personal relationships of his past that are still, flowing. People that he has taken care of.
Yeah.
We know that owner James Dolan doesn't want to get into this second apron, but hopefully, with what we were discussing off air, Karl Anthony Towns talking about willing to take up to 100 million less if it means keeping the core intact. Now, I don't know how that looks this year because I do think Landry Shamet, as well as Jordan Clarkson, who are very good role players. Shouts out Landry Shamet. He actually hit like on my story yesterday, so I reached out to him to
man,
on finally finding an NBA home. It's interesting. I think it's relatable to what we're trying to do here at the podcast, but there's no defined destination or how long it takes to get to the top or how you got there.
Right.
A guy like Landry Shamet, I think players like John Starks and the late Anthony Mason of yesteryear would both appreciate, obviously Starks being alive, if Mace was alive, appreciated Shamet because of his long road, different teams, finally getting his break, so to speak. In Mason's case, as well as in Stark's case, they took the long road to make it in the NBA.
Yeah.
You take a guy like a Jordan Clarkson who, sacrificed minutes. This is a guy that's usually getting more minutes in a different situation, but had his eyes on a bigger prize, which was winning a championship. All the way down to our third string center, Huck Porty, who had a huge block. A guy that's always ready, even if he doesn't get the minutes. Mitchell Robinson gave him a phenomenal compliment in that regard. Karl Anthony Towns had a pretty solid series. He got in big-time foul trouble in Game 5, which was the closeout, and we still somehow found a way to beat these guys. Jalen Brunson, can't say any more about him. 45 points in the clincher. We have discussed this, where his, going from star to superstar to now potential legend in New York City basketball lore, New York sports lore.
Yeah.
That's a big one when you consider this is a city that these guys play in, and the New York Giants are also iconic. So when you consider that Jalen Brunson is going to start jumping the list of some of these iconic New York sports stars, you're talking Josh Hart, one of the more likable guys in the NBA, one of the more humble guys in the NBA. This Novacat connection has inspired a lot of people. It's really brought, the idea of family to a big boy sport like basketball, where they're making big boy money, but, a lot of fundamental values. This team really captivated more than just the greatest city on earth. They captivated a lot of people that love the game of basketball.
And that's what angers me about James Dolan. The team brings a championship together, brings a championship to New York. The team also united everyone. I don't care if you're Muslim, Jew, Christian, atheist. I don't care if you're MAGA, Republican, conservative, liberal, whatever you were. When the Knicks were playing, nobody out there looked at each other as black and white, liberal, conservative, Muslim, Christian, Jew, male, female. Nobody looked at each other that way. We looked at each other as Knicks fans. That's the best unity we've had since probably 9/11. And with Dolan, and this is not a knock on Trump. And I want people to understand this is not a knock on Trump. But we know his history. And for Dolan to basically just say, yeah, we're going to the White House, and then say what he said about Mondami. And Mondami was just giving the team some props, And it's like Dolan is still trying to. It's like he's trying to divide the team for something. I don't know what.
Well, this is the thing with James Dolan. I think James Dolan is a bit of an egomaniac.
A bit.
When I did my shout outs about an hour and a half after we won the NBA title, I put up an emotional, very well thought post on Instagram about why this was the perfect team. I shouted out Mike Brown. I shouted out the captain, Jalen Brunson. I shouted out Knicks of yesteryear. And I also shouted out Leon Rose, the architect of this team.
Right.
When I think about a guy like a James Dolan, I feel that they won the NBA title in spite of him. I don't consider James Dolan to be a very good owner. No. I don't consider James Dolan to be very likable. Nope. He kind of rubs me as like the grumpy grandpa that you're just like, okay, man, heard. And then you just lock in and do your thing however you got to do it. I do thank James Dolan on the level of letting basketball people do basketball things. But with success comes the ego. I don't like to talk ill about the dead, but you take a walk back to about 6 years ago or so, one of the best documentary sports series ever made, The Last Dance, talking about the final season of the legendary Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Phil Jackson, Chicago Bulls. Jerry Krause, rest in peace, had a bit of an ego with it, that he needed constant validation for look what I put together. And I feel that James Dolan, to a level, needs to constantly have his ego stroked. And quite frankly, he ain't fooling nobody. Because Knicks fans, despite this phenomenal satisfaction of finally getting over a 53-year drought and a generational curse, we are still, I'm not speaking for every Knicks fan, but I am confident when I say that I speak for many, that we're still not feeling James Dolan, and it doesn't change anything.
No. It changes nothing. It changes nothing at all because we still see that he is still that ass, that egomaniac, narcissistic son of a bitch we don't like.
For a person to revoke tickets when a fan isn't cursing obscenities, isn't calling him names, voicing his opinion as a paying customer, yelling, sell the team, and that's a good enough reason to revoke tickets and banning a regular-ass fan, I'm sorry, that's weak. It's unacceptable, and it's why so many people not only dislike James Dolan, but dislike the brand that is the New York Knicks. Because let me make one thing clear to you, Mr. Salah, not everybody's happy that we won.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. We see that. I'm happy that we won. I just wish it wasn't for James Dolan. I despise him. And I just do. I despise him. Like, we talk about Jerry Jones, how he is. But you know about Jerry Jones knows who Jerry Jones is. And Jerry Jones admits, I'm here for the entertainment. I'm trying to, and Jerry admitted, I'm doing this for my brand. I'm doing this for the Cowboys. Like he said, when things get slow, I stir shit up. So we know what Jerry Jones, he has a big ego, but Jerry Jones wants to win. His only thing is he gets in the way of his own, he gets in his own way. I don't see him as James Dolan, because Jerry Jones is not spiteful. Jerry Jones is just about him, but he's not spiteful to where Dolan is spiteful. I respect Jerry Jones. Yes, I hate the Cowboys and I love Chicago, but I like Jerry Jones because Jerry Jones, I'm an entertainer. I want the attention. He admits it. I want the attention. I want people to talk about me. He said it. To where Dolan is just an ass. He's just an ass. There's no good quality about him. To where Jerry has Jerry had that personality where
I find it charming, similarly to say like a Dr. Jerry Buss, a George Steinbrenner, believe it or not. That cloth, that caliber of NBA or just sports in general, like MLB in Steinbrenner's case. Royalty of some kind, but make no mistake about it. James Dolan doesn't change a lot of New Yorkers' opinions just because this team finally got over the hump. Because it was interesting how it played out. You take a guy like a Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
The Knicks were interested in possibly hiring him, but the Dallas Mavericks refused to let him go. You fast forward a year later, they amicably split. We already had our coach in Mike Brown after a couple of original choices did not pan out.
Yeah.
Because remember, when the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau, a lot of people were freaking out that they didn't have a contingency plan. They go out and get a seasoned veteran of a coach who's been through the NBA wars, both as a head coach and as an assistant.
Yep.
And it produces the first title since '73. But the irony of this is the Dallas Mavericks let go of Jalen Brunson. He becomes a bona fide superstar in New York. They don't want to get rid of Jason Kidd, and the Knicks get a different coach and win. So there's something to the Dallas Mavericks and the New York Knicks in this. Derek Harper's probably in his man cave just laughing at all of it, because Derek Harper should have been the MVP of the '94 finals if we would have won.
Yeah. You know,
shouts out to him too, a real class act, Derek Harper.
Oh yeah, most def. Yeah, and I just don't like Dolan, man. I really don't like him, and I think he's messing things up because that team united Knicks fans all over the world, and it definitely united New York.
No doubt. No doubt.
It's like he and people think I'm talking to, and this is nothing. I promise people listening, watching, this is nothing against Trump. But the point I'm making is, it's like Dolan is trying to be into that Trump aura, and we know how he is. We know how Trump is. Just keep it 100. I don't care if you support him or you're against him. We know how he is. And Dolan is crossing that line of sports and politics, knowing New York doesn't like this guy. They don't like Dolan. They don't like Trump. And I'm like, dude, you should go to the team. Do y'all want to go to the White House?
It goes back to the initial stuff about the ego that needs to be stroked every so often. I'm confident that as long as you got Big Body Brunson as your main leader and a Karl Anthony Towns is willing to take a substantial pay cut when his next thing comes up, I am confident that even if we lose a guy like Landry Shamet, who I certainly admire, my main objective, if I'm the Knicks, we got to find a way to keep Mitch.
Yeah, we got to keep Mitch. Dario signed a contract today, an extension, but he's a power forward, small forward, power forward. We got to keep. Yeah, Mitch doesn't score, but Mitch does everything else. Rebound, he's a good passer, good shot blocker, good defender. He does everything else. And you give him the paint, he doesn't miss, but he's always dunking. Right. So I think off season, hopefully, maybe Ewing or someone will be like, hey, let's get in the gym, let's work on your free throw shooting, let's work on your low post game. Because if he can get himself a low post game, he will be hard to stop. A low post, or if he can become at least a decent 60% free throw shooter.
If you could master something on offense, like Isaiah Hartenstein had disappearing acts, but he had that little soft floater.
Like
every big man needs something they could claim offensively. The only reason why the Knicks have allowed this is because of the fact that Mitch makes that much of a plus-minus impact despite his offensive deficiencies. Right,
and we got a guy like Cat who can go out there and get the points. So you got your dirty man right there in the hole.
They complement each other well, but you don't. I'm not. Right. I like Huck Porty, but I'm not ready for him to take the Mitch.
I'm not either. I'm not either. Yeah, I'm not either. I think he has another year to get seasoned. I'm keeping Mitch. We got to keep Mitch there, and I think Cat and crew wants to keep Mitch there.
I tend to agree. And Mitch ain't going nowhere, bro. Unless if somebody blows him away, which is possible. I mean, he is important. It's been proven that he's championship caliber. We're gonna hit on the sick handles. New York, though.
Oh yeah, sick. Let's go.
Let's go. About it. There's no question about it. We're doing the show devoted to point guards. Let's talk about the sick handles for a second, Mr. Salam. Allen Iverson, Jason Williams, a.k.a. White Chocolate, Penny Hardaway, Magic Johnson, Kyrie Irving. And let's start with this guy. All right, Mr. Salam. Mr. Salam, the answer, a bit of a tweener when talking about point guard versus two guard. But I do want to ask you this. Do you share my sentiments that if this man, Mr. Allen Iverson out of Georgetown, was, say, 6'4", 6'5", would he be able to be in the same breath as his idol, Michael Jordan?
Yeah. Because he had the toughness, he had the killer instinct. And he knew he had the care. He did, and I'm not, when I say this, I'm not saying he was Mike, but he did what Mike did. He had that Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant mentality. And he was tough as nails. If he had a few more inches, he would be, oh my goodness. Because he could already, at 6'1", 175, 180, he could already get up. And he played hard. Yeah, he would be up there. Yes, he would. No doubt about it.
Completely agree, Mr. Salam. I look at AI with that sick crossover. I look at the way that he took everything over in game 1 of the NBA Finals, dulling that legendary Lakers team, their only loss, considered one of the absolute greatest single-season champions of all time. AI wasn't just basketball. He brought an attitude to the league. He brought hip-hop to the league. He brought a toughness to the league, and he brought it to a level where it was really cool to be the little guy. Because this was not a big man in any sense of the word by NBA expectations or standards.
No, not at all. I mean, Iverson was literally a little guy. Like I say, he might have weighed 175, maybe 180. He was a little guy. Indeed, but he was tough as nails. If he can still, I said he had that Kobe Mike mentality. If he can get up off the bench or get up out of bed and walk, he was playing.
Yes, sir.
You know, he was playing. That's why a guy like him, I would love him to see him in today's game. So people talk about Kyrie, and I'm not taking nothing from Kyrie. But if you think Kyrie was dangerous in today's game, you put Allen Iverson in today's game.
Especially with the difference in offensive rules?
Yes, because he was a physical point guard. He took a beating, and he would go at the big guys. He wasn't afraid.
Never.
Yeah, so, yeah, he might average 35, 40 points a game, dude.
Now, Idris, you know, as a New York Giants diehard, as a New York Rangers fan.
Yes, sir. I'm a diehard Ranger fan, too.
And obviously a Knicks fan. I don't have a lot of love for the city of Philadelphia. The only Philadelphia team that doesn't make, like, I don't have a true hatred for is the Phillies, because they're not in our league. They're in the national. And the other side, because we're Yankee fans, and the other side of it is that, you know, you hate them if you're like a Met fan.
Yeah.
Now that Don Mattingly, my all-time favorite New York Yankee, manages that club, I tolerate them the most I probably ever have. We have a comment coming in. Let's see who this is.
That's Ringo.
There he is.
What's up, bro? Welcome to the show, bro.
What are you apologizing for, bro? You got nothing to apologize for, champ.
Nah.
How you doing, champ?
Exactly. What's up, champ? You got to apologize.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Yep.
All right. So, Roland, you're just stepping in now. We're having an open conversation about some of the greatest point guards in NBA history. Now, Mr. Iverson, of course, was a bit of a tweener. We're going to move it along here to another guy that's on this part of the list, White Chocolate Jason Williams. Now, not the same kind of offensive threat that an Allen Iverson was, but this guy, more than possibly anybody else in the history of the sport, made facilitating just look so damn cool.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I loved him. I remember watching a video of him of how he trained as a kid to make himself as good as he is, and I said, oh, because he said they had a video of him how he would go down the court and throw the ball off the wall and catch it, and then run back up the court and have an assist. That was how he trained. And if people didn't see Jason Williams play, golly, because those Sacramento teams with him and Chris Webber, oh man, those guys were they were fun to watch, man.
Now, this is interesting that you mentioned those teams. He was controversially traded to Memphis, straight up, for Mike Bibby, son of Henry Bibby.
Yep.
And the Sacramento Kings' logic behind it was, although this was one of the more exciting players in the league at the time, they felt that Mike Bibby was a little safer in terms of the turnover value. And although I was a huge fan of White Chocolate, I do tend to agree, because I believe that the Sacramento Kings had a more balanced offense with Bibby. But I will always ask the question, if White Chocolate was the point guard in that infamous season they lost in Game 7 to the Lakers, would it have made a difference?
I think
or
so.
would it have made a difference if Tim Donaghy wasn't reffing? Because no disrespect to the late, great Kobe Bryant or Shaquille O'Neal, who's thankfully still with us, they did the Kings dirty.
They did. They're supposed to win that. And that's why I hate the league. That's why I hate the NBA, because they're supposed to win it. I think they win. But, kudos to Jason Williams, because he went to Miami and he got himself a win. He balled out, man.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to see him. Now he famously had a huge beef with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello, coached him in Memphis. Jason Williams, similar to other former NBA dudes, whether it's a Matt Barnes or whether it's a Charles Oakley, he doesn't shy away from telling his truth to anybody that's willing to listen. One of the more exciting players and influential players of his time, and I remember being younger, and so many white kids who loved basketball made it a point to get this guy's jersey because, let's be real, he was a bit of a unicorn when you consider that during that era of basketball, because this is before the European explosion, there were not a lot of American Caucasian point guards that played at the level of a guy like a Jason Williams. And another interesting fact about White Chocolate, he played in high school with Randy Moss.
Yes.
One of the greatest wide receivers to ever do it. Yes, sir.
Remember
that commercial that they had?
Yeah.
That Nike commercial with the Dukes of Hazzard?
Yep. Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite sports commercials.
And that's so crazy that, they both excelled in their professional sport. Both of them excelled. Moss didn't get a chip, but he's on one of the greatest teams of all time. And to find out that, Moss caught passes from Brady, and he also caught passes from Jason Williams. That's insane, man.
Speaking of Doug Christie,
I'm thinking about him.
I had floor seats at the Magic late in the season. They were playing the Kings, and I was within earshot of Doug Christie, and I was shouting him out. And I think Doug Christie was impressed that I actually remembered that for a short while he was a member of the New York Knicks.
Yep.
So Doug Christie kind of fired up to know that I even knew that he was a member of the Knicks, because it's not his most successful stop, but I always say once a Knick, always a Knick.
He's a good player too, man. I like this game. Man.
Yeah, Doug Christie definitely a guy who, put it all out there and carved out a decent NBA career.
Yeah.
We got some more players that are on this list that I want to hit on in terms of sick handles. Now, Magic Johnson, in terms of sick handles, I'm not considering him in the same craziness as a Penny Hardaway, a Jason Williams, and Allen Iverson. Penny Hardaway, we don't have a picture of. We'll speak on him after Magic. Let's start with Magic here. I'll be honest. Magic Johnson is the reason why I love the NBA, because I caught the last few years of his elite stuff in the league. He is the first NBA player that truly reeled me in.
Yeah.
Ultimately, my Knicks affiliation went full throttle when I was 10 or so years old, 11 years old, 1992. And along with Pat Riley starting with the Knicks, I myself started with the Knicks that year. But Earvin Magic Johnson, to me, what makes this guy so special, he could run the point. He was the NBA's all-time assist leader in just 12 short seasons.
Yeah.
But what makes this guy so special to me is that he can play every single position on the floor at an elite level.
Right. Yep. I liked him also, and he really didn't have any handles per se, but he didn't have any handles per se, like guys have now, crossover and everything. But
Yeah,
the thing about it, he had a different type of handles. He knew how to handle the ball. It was his eyes. I put it that way. It's like he had eyes in the back
yeah.
of his head.
He had a way with, visually, finding what was going to happen before it even did.
Yeah.
And the reason I put him in the handle list, even though he's not the dribbler as these other gentlemen, is that for his era, what he brought to the table was just phenomenal.
Yeah, because
the only rookie to win an NBA Finals MVP, something that has still not been duplicated all these years later.
With Magic, I would call what he did having the handles, because like his was different. Like it was his passes, come off the dribble, through the legs, looking the other way, throw the ball back, bam. I mean, he had a hell of an eye in foot coordination. He had eye and foot coordination. So I put him on the list as for handles. He was saying, "No, he doesn't do the crossover and all that." He didn't have to.
He didn't have.
He had a different
He
way.
didn't have to. You also
have
have one of the greatest overall scorers in the history of any and all eras of the NBA, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and you also had North Carolina's best player from Jordan era. A lot of people forget on Dean Smith's team, it was not Michael Jordan who was the best player on that team. It was actually James Worthy.
Exactly.
Michael Jordan gets a lot of fame for defeating Coach John Thompson and Patrick Ewing's Georgetown Hoyas, but that was James Worthy's team back then.
Yeah. But Magic had a hell of a
was
game.
A badass mythic plague. I share your sentiments. Go ahead, Idris.
Oh yeah. Magic just had a. It's really hard to explain his game, because I wouldn't call his style flash and dash, but it was magical. It was like Magic had his game was just insane, and people need to go back and watch Magic. I mean, Magic was something, and he wasn't through the legs and crossover and all that. He didn't do all that.
No doubt.
He went right at you.
No doubt. I want to hit on Penny Hardaway, although he's not pictured. Penny Hardaway, to me, was a more athletic, versatile version of what Magic and Kareem were doing. Of course, he had a young Shaquille O'Neal in Orlando. One of the bigger what-ifs in NBA history, and I'm not just calling it a what-if because of the injuries. I'm calling it a what-if because Shaquille O'Neal kind of left in the middle of the night and signed with the Lakers, because Orlando really fumbled keeping him around. I'm going to say this. Penny Hardaway, if we're talking about the biggest what-ifs outside of maybe a Len Bias, who sadly died after the draft, making a poor choice, or if we're talking about Grant Hill, another guy that came out with Penny Hardaway, I think Penny Hardaway is among the top greatest what-ifs, because the man went from being so impactful that the GOAT Michael Jordan even wore his sneakers.
Yes. Yes, and you know how Mike was with those shoes.
Yes, indeed. And they were fellow Nike guys. But sadly, he and Shaquille O'Neal, being young, had some weird moments. Shaquille was the face of Reebok. Penny, for a little while, was actually outselling Jordan's best shoe. But Penny Hardaway most definitely deserves recognition, because he did make a huge mark in a short period of time, even had a little penny doll. And the funny thing about having Magic's face up here is that I don't know if anybody saw that HBO Max series on the 80s Lakers, the Showtime Lakers, but Magic Johnson originally had an opportunity to be the Nike face before Michael Jordan, and you talk about a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
You talk about a crazy missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I think Magic did all right.
Yeah. You know, I'm thinking about the little penny doll. So people don't realize that was Chris Rock doing the voice. And the little penny commercials were good. I love them. The little penny commercials were good.
I will never forget Idris being a teenager and watching the beautiful Tyra Banks at courtside with the little penny doll on her lap. I had the Tyra Banks poster, bro.
Dude.
One side of my room was John Starks dunking on the Chicago Bulls. Another side of my room was Tyra Banks.
Dude, Tyra Banks with the little penny doll was hilarious.
Yes, indeed.
You know, off topic of, that's another thing. I want people to go back and look at some of the commercials during the 90s, like the penny doll. Spike Lee with Mars Blackman with Michael Jordan.
A lot of people forget that Spike was a part of that.
Yeah, and Spike is trying to relive that too, because he said he's talking to Mike about that.
That would be amazing.
That'd be crazy. Yeah, people need to go back and look at those commercials because that's when the NBA was great. Because even though the game didn't come on, you saw the commercials and you just laughed. Yeah, but they were funny as hell.
Big facts, Idris. Big facts. We're going to move it along to another segment of this same point guard situation. We're going to talk about the shoot first variety of NBA point guards. Here's another tweener, one of the greatest Lakers ever, the logo. We got Jerry West. I'm going to put my list out here of others that we're speaking on. Going to let you talk about a couple of the shoot first variety of point guard. Let's start with Jerry West. All right. We already spoke on AI a little. We'll speak on him a little more in depth here. But let's start with Jerry West. The only knock on him in terms of his legacy is that, unfortunately, he was not able to win more.
Right.
He won NBA title, which is kind of absurd when you consider that he shared duties of carrying a team with the late, great Wilt Chamberlain. You know, Jerry West also passed on a couple years back. Jerry West was Mr. Laker, not just in terms of what he did on the court, but even post-career, front office. He's the guy that had the vision to trade for the super young talent from Lower Merion High School, Kobe Bryant, the most genius draft day heist, in my opinion, of all time, trading him straight up for a good center in Vlade Divac. And no disrespect to Vlade, but he wasn't great. He was good. And they go and get Kobe Bryant, and you talk about changing the fortunes of the future. You know, Kobe Bryant is a 5-time NBA champion.
Hey, he was great at flopping, though. Yeah, let's not forget that. Vlade could flop.
Vlade was the original LeBron with the flop value.
Oh, yeah. Vlade could flop. I don't know who does it better, but Vlade could flop.
And for a big man, Vlade was a hell of a passer, too.
He was.
It's sad that he and Magic Johnson only played together that one season. In 91. And unless if you want to include Magic's little cup of coffee in 95 when he came back to the NBA. What was that, 95, 96, I believe?
95, 96, yeah.
Yeah, because if the world was in a better place with education regarding Magic's virus, I believe that he would have never had to leave. And who knows? Maybe we would have been graced to see Magic Johnson play a little bit with Mamba and Shaq. That would have been pretty cool.
Well, you know, the big beef about it was Karl Malone crying. You know.
Is this the same Karl Malone that...
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to
talk about that. I think it is that guy. Yeah, I think it is that guy.
The guy that conceived a child with a 13-year-old, that guy?
I think that's him. I got to check the record, but I think that's the same guy.
Karl Malone, right? The mailman?
Yeah. It starts with a K.
You know,
I think that's him.
A guy that for a long time I thought was a stand-up guy, but after looking at every single heartbreak in his NBA career, including the final stanza with the Los Angeles Lakers, I'm so glad that guy never won. Yeah,
because he was the ass when they lost. Like, they would ask him, like, you know, who do you think? I don't care about nothing. I don't care about it.
Not to mention his behavior with Vanessa Bryant, bro, when he's supposed to be
that was out of order.
Big brother and good mentor for Kobe.
That was out of order.
Kobe, man. Kobe showed a lot of class and grace, not letting that hit the public until years later.
Yeah, that was out of order. So
Kobe had every right, and it's not really a secret.
No.
I think the thing that kind of shocks me looking at revisionist history is that I'm a little surprised that Shaquille O'Neal didn't check Karl Malone.
Yeah.
But then again, Kobe and Shaq's relationship wasn't what it really was. We're getting off topic, my own fault, my own doing. What's the best thing that you could say about the logo Jerry West?
Competitor, man. Came to play, point guard. He could score if he needed to score. He didn't have to, but he could. Class, that's why he's a logo right here. That's why he's still a logo. And even later in life, he became an executive. I mean, look what he did. He's with that Laker team, and you know what the Lakers did. So he went over to Golden State to get him some ideas. I mean, Jerry West is one of those who is Mr. Laker. And if I'm looking at, I'm not going to call him the greatest Laker, but he's that Laker that you say, if you say, okay, when you talk about who is the Laker that represents the Lakers, I'm going to go with Jerry West. He may not have been the best one.
It's hard not to. Like if somebody asks me who the greatest Laker is, although Magic Johnson humbly conceded that title to Kobe Bryant, I personally believe it's Magic, but everybody is entitled to their own opinion because while I have nothing but admiration and respect for the late, great Kobe Bryant, I personally believe that Magic Johnson accomplished more in a less amount of time as the best player on the team. And think about what I'm saying. The best player on the team when he was sharing that team with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Jabbar was not winning with the Lakers until Magic got there. Jabbar's only real success was with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
All right. I want to hit on another guy on this list.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to hit another guy here. One of, if not, well, who am I lying to? Let's just call it what it is. The greatest shooter in the history of the sport. Now, he gets a little flack for the era he plays in, no fault of his own. Steph Curry, man. Now, this is why I call them the shoot first point guards, because these are not the traditional value guys. But Steph Curry, his father, Dell, second generation NBA star, Dell got his roses recently from the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
But Steph Curry, man, when you talk about an impact that I don't think many saw coming, he impressed me at Davidson. I knew he was going to be a good NBA player, a pretty good leader of men. But if somebody would have been like, hey, Rich, is this guy going to have 4 NBA championships? I'd be like, hell no.
Nah, me neither. Yeah, I didn't think that. I was living in Charlotte when he played at Davidson. And I was like, dang. Because, I see his games. Like, dang, this guy. And I was just blown away with him. And, I would not have thought he won 4 championships. I would not have thought that. I thought he'd been a very good shooter. And with Steph, I say, well, how would he done in the 90s? I think he'd have done pretty good. I don't think he'd have been as dominant as he is now. Because, now, you can basically run up the street and smack somebody and come back and don't have to worry about getting shot or whatever. But I think because of his handles and because of how fast he gets his shot off, I think he'd have done well. Because there was a guard in the late 70s, early 80s named Calvin Murphy, played for the Houston Rockets.
Oh, I love using that guy in 2K because whenever I do tournaments, I play the Rockets.
He'll light you up. And he had a quick release, just like Steph Curry had. And Calvin Murphy can shoot. He could shoot the lights out. And that's why I think he'd have done well. And in the 90s game, I think he'd need to be on a good team because I think if he was on a bad team, they'll lock him down because, they'll say, okay, this is the only guy we got to worry about.
My thing with Steph, while I think he is perfect for this era, I also question what he would have been if he played in the 80s or 90s because while I consider him to be a phenomenal shooter, the greatest
Yeah.
of all time, if I'm being completely honest, I don't know how that translates to his overall value in that era because of the fact that
Yeah.
he doesn't strike me as a guy in that particular era that would be able to create his own shot with true consistency. I think
That's
he
the
still would have
problem.
led the league in free throw percentage most years.
Yeah.
We've said this off air in the past, Idris. You know
Mhm.
who Steph Curry would be if he played in that era?
Who's that?
Formerly Chris Jackson, Mahmoud
Yeah.
Abdul Rauf.
Raul. I agree. That's who he would have been. That's why I think he'd have done well, but I think he would have had to be on at least a decent team because if he was the only one on that team, he'd have had a hard time because they'd have been like, okay, we just got to stop him. You know.
Mythic Plague
but
makes a good one here. He says Minnesota should have taken him, but we screwed it up. The basketball gods, Steph should thank the gods that Minnesota did not take him in the draft. And while I agree with you, Mythic Plague, I'll tell you who you should also be happy didn't take him. The New York Knicks, who missed him by only one pick because the Knicks were not run nearly as well as they are now.
He didn't want to play for Golden State. To be honest, he didn't want to play
New York,
for.
but his
he wanted New York.
Did not want New York. And Don Nelson
he didn't want to play.
Stuck it to the Knicks one last time because he was the coach in between Riley and Van Gundy.
Yeah, he didn't want to play in Golden State.
No, sir.
You know. So see, Mythic Play got a.
Yeah, he's got a question. That's right, because of his Minnesota affiliations. Off subject for a second. Who do you like better, Kyler Murray or J.J. McCarthy? I like Kyler. I think J.J. McCarthy is a bust, personally. I'll put it to you like this. I think J.J. McCarthy's ceiling could be something like we saw with a Sam Darnold this past year, but he has to have the complete supporting cast. I do share your sentiments that he does have potential bust. If he's not a bust, I think he's somewhere sort of like an Alex Smith who could win some games. Alex Smith actually had a very good record, but Alex Smith did not produce at the level of what you would expect the number one overall pick to be. And if I'm being completely fan hat off, Eli Manning's been accused of that too as well, although I don't agree. I take the little guy, Kyler Murray, because I actually think Kyler Murray has been working his ass off to become better at his craft, and I'm curious to see what your Vikings do this year. That is my most honest answer, unbiased.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think J.J. McCarthy, so people got to remember last year was his first, was it last year or the year before? Was actually his first year.
Yeah, because he sat out his rookie year due to injury.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bust. I think he needs to get the reps. I think he needs to get on the field. He needs to get the reps. And I think, because he has the tools. He has the tools.
No doubt, Idris. I'm with you. And Mythic Plague. Idris is most definitely the quarterback guru here on the show. He hits a lot more than he misses. But I'm gonna say one thing that I think Idris might piggyback or expand on more. You have Kevin O'Connell as the quarterback guru in Minnesota, who resurrected the careers of Sam Darnold, as well as who else am I missing here?
Oh shoot, I had to. Oh God,
Daniel Jones. Thank you for that.
Daniel Jones.
Play.
Daniel Jones.
He helped Daniel Jones get his, getting it right. I personally think that I would hold hope still, because Kevin O'Connell always has the wheels churning and burning when it comes to how to get the most out of a quarterback. So hang tight and hold good hope, because I'll be honest with you, with the Josh Jacobs off the field situation, you got the Micah Parsons thing that he's, coming off a severe injury, and you got a Chicago Bears team that suddenly is going to come into the season with a little bit of a target on their back, and you got the Detroit Lions breaking up Sonic and Knuckles and still having a questionable defense. Watch out if the Vikings don't surprise some folks this year.
It wouldn't surprise me. And with the Vikings, my late brother was a Vikings fan. I don't know how he became a Vikings fan, but I don't know how my brother became a Vikings fan, but he was a diehard Vikings fan. And the Vikings are one of those teams that I've never had a beef with. I've always liked their colors. I've never had a beef with the Vikings. I remember going back watching them. I'm an OG. I remember watching them at Metropolitan Stadium. You know, in the snow, Alan Page, you know, and crew, Fred Tarkenton, Chuck Foreman, Ahmad Rashad, Sammy White. Yeah, I'm that old, man. But I've never had a beef, and I think with the Vikings, they're one of those teams that I kind of say I secretly root for. I'd like to see them win one. Not, I don't want to see win anything against the Giants or go through the Giants to get there, but they're one of those teams who have real
no
good
disrespect,
fans.
Vikings, but given our last matchup, I think it's safe to say that things went rather well.
Yeah.
The greatest game of Kerry Collins' career, followed by the worst game of his career, and it happened all in 3 weeks. We're going to get back on topic for a second. Mythic Plague, thanks for the question, because it just goes to show you that on the drop of a hat, we can get right into the NFL.
Oh yeah, we get busy. Let's get back to
it. All right. So Steph Curry, my conclusion on him, Idris, is that in the 90s he would be similar to what I said, formerly Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. But I believe that Steph Curry deserves all the credit he gets. I think he's a quality human being. I think he's a credit to not only the team he plays for, but for the league on the whole. And I think he's just a class individual, you know. So I'm not going to punish anybody for what era they play in, because different eras bring different, how would you say, debate level things. And that's what makes talking sports so much fun, because we could debate until our faces turn blue, but you never know, because some of the stuff just can't possibly happen unless if you're playing Legends in 2K.
That's right.
Luka Doncic, Idris, I put him on here as a shoot first point guard. I know that you had your reservations off air about including him on this list. I'm gonna let you fly on Luka. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not. I think he's a good passer and all, but I'm not. I wouldn't put him point guard because he doesn't play like the traditional point guard who penetrates and dishes and stuff like that. You know, he gets to the top of the key and dishes and stuff. And that's stuff that a lot of big guys do. Guys like Cat do that. You know, Elijah Wan did that. You know, Bill Cartwright. A lot of big guys did that. They went to the top of the key. Well, not the top of the key, the free throw line, and they just ran the offense. Even Anthony Mason, the original point forward, you know.
That's so I'd appreciate that analogy.
Yeah, so I'm not going to put Luka. I'm not going to put him in a point guard. You know, in fact, if I'm going to do anything with the point guard pertaining to Luka, I'm probably going to move guys on your list up a level.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, I just.
Yankees just got beat, brother.
Do what?
The Yankees just got beat. They drop a third straight.
Third
it's officially
straight.
A slump. I'm not going to bang my head into the wall. We are 16 games over 500. I'm gonna change gears for a second one more time. Do my little Yankee drop.
That's what we do, man.
The Yankees had the misfortune of running into Detroit's 3 best pitchers during this series, and Garrett Cole had an inning to forget. It's to be expected.
Yeah.
Not every game is he going to look like Garrett Cole, and he is still adjusting to life after Tommy John. I am not overly concerned, and I'm expecting the Tigers to start fighting their way, because this is a very critical couple of weeks for the Tigers if they're going to choose to be contenders or try to be contenders, or if they're going to be sellers. And given the expectations coming into the year, I think the Detroit Tigers want to do everything in their power to try to get close enough into that wild card picture where they're going to want to move and try to get some talent, especially when you consider that this is a contract year for Tarek Skubal. Now, if they fall out of it in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're going to see Skubal probably get dealt. So just my little tidbit. Congrats to the Tigers on beating the Yankees tonight. They are definitely trying. And today, tomorrow, and always, it's always going to be fuck you, AJ Hinch. Continue
all day. Fuck you, AJ Hinch. Yeah, with Luka, once again, fuck you, AJ Hinch. But Luka Doncic, I couldn't put him in there. He just has to do more for him to even impress me as a point guard. I need to see him penetrate. I need to see him collapse the defense. You know, rather than just stand at the top of the key and just throw the ball. Like I said, Carl Anthony Towns does that. You know, a lot of big men do that. I need you to bring the ball up court. Let me see what you got bringing the ball up from the baseline all the way up, bringing it 94 feet. Let's see what you got.
Facts.
You know, that's all. But I give him his due though. He's a big guy that has vision. You know, and a big guy that has vision is great. You know, so I'm not going to knock him for that. I just wouldn't put him on a point.
Luka is definitely a guy, another player that I have respect for sure. But he definitely fits in this era.
Yes. Yeah, I think he gets dominated in the 90s because he's slow. He can shoot, but I think he'll get pushed around. Like guys like Karl Malone,
reasonable.
Kevin Willis, you know, Roundtree and all on. And Anthony Mason would have punked him. And I'm not calling Luka soft, but a guy like Anthony Mason or Larry Johnson, Charles Barkley. I mean, that's all. Yeah, Charles Barkley, Charles Oakley. I say Kevin Willis, Junior Bridgman. Oh man, I can go down the line. These guys
pick your favorite goon. Pick your favorite goon.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, we're gonna hit on the facilitators. Obviously, we already spoke in detail on Magic, so we'll give it a rest on him for a second. We spoke in detail on Jason Williams. Let's hit John Stockton, and then we're going to move it along to some of these other great players. I'll put it to you like this when I think about John Stockton. While he might look like a guy who drives a minivan and takes all the kids out to, like, you know, camping things and things of that nature, John Stockton was a dog, and John Stockton was one of the biggest trash talkers in the history of the league. And he had no problem putting that elbow in your lungs if it meant winning or losing a game. He was a tough guy. Yeah. I think from a physical standpoint, he had certain limitations. An athleticism standpoint, he had certain limitations. Of course, it helps when you have a top 5 power forward of all time in Karl Malone. But when I revisit these Jazz teams, I think John Stockton was a bona fide extension of head coach Jerry Sloan, the former Bulls legend. He was the direct extension of the coaching staff. And although Malone gets a lot of praise as a phenomenal scorer and such, I think this dude was the glue right here.
Stockton was tough. You know what? The phrase, the late Bernie Mac, he's a tough son of a bitch. Stockton was a tough son of a bitch. Like I said, he would put an elbow on you, he'll grab you, he'll punch you, and he was slick about it. You know, you didn't know he did it until you watched the replay. That's how good he was. He was real savvy about it. Because how often did you see him foul out or get technical? You didn't see it because he was slick. You know, he wasn't that fast. He wasn't that like I say, he wasn't athletic, but he could D you up and he could shoot you. He could shoot you. He could shoot you down.
Now they recently asked Magic Johnson. When I say recently, I mean the last few years.
Yeah.
They asked Magic Johnson on a forum who was better between Zeke and Stockton. Of course, Isaiah Thomas was infamously left off the 92 Dream Team. I think a lot of that had to do with his toxicity, with his relationship or lack thereof with Michael Jordan, and also rubbing Larry Bird the wrong way, or NBA fans the wrong way, when he basically said, if Larry Bird was a black man, he would just be another player, which I think was really ignorant, because I think most people felt that Larry Bird could play with anyone. Now, listen, as a competitor, I got nothing but respect for Zeke, but he was so wrong on that. Now, as far as Stockton goes, I think Magic was 100% correct when he said, listen, John's a hell of a player, but he ain't better than Zeke. And I share Magic Johnson's sentiments, because Isaiah Thomas, I think, is the most impactful short guard in terms of winning, up until a left-hander from Villanova took over the Mecca. We'll get to him in a little bit, but John Stockton, the all-time assist leader. Now, granted, it took him much longer time than it took Magic Johnson, but to be fair, Magic, I think it's safe to say, played on better teams than Stockton.
I think also, and let me talk about Isaiah for a second. I read today, I read actually last night, but early, let's say it was 3 o'clock this
By the way, Idris, this is an excellent show, and I'm truly enjoying this.
Oh, me too. That's why we got to keep doing this.
This is fun.
We got to keep the NBA alive. Oh,
This is fun.
But,
The Hardwood Classic era alive. You got that right.
exactly. That's it right there. That's what I thought.
Brett's going to be in heaven when he sees our show tonight driving home from work. He's going to be happier than a pig in shit. Continue, Mr. Slaughter.
You know, Isaiah Thomas is back to his stuff again, because I read earlier this morning how he said, and he mentioned Jordan again. And I'm like, this guy doesn't stop. He was saying they're trying to promote Jalen Brunson over Wembanyama the way they did Michael Jordan over him.
What flavor of crack is Isaiah Thomas smoking?
I don't know, but I need to find out.
Their power to screw the Knicks over.
I need to find out so I can sell it around here because I can make some money. And we can
call out this other guy who I actually subscribe to his channel. He hates New York. I think it's called Grown Man Business TV or whatever. I don't know if you're a subscriber or if you've run into this guy's content. He has a massive following in a short time. I don't know what he's doing.
He might be paid for stream.
He's the one that says it's going to be what it's going to be, and he takes about 6 hours to say anything.
Yeah.
But he's a fast talker that talks slow, if that makes any sense. According to this dude, the New York Knicks winning an NBA title means that New York's about to have a huge catastrophe because of the pothole guys. And that's a whole nother problem unto itself. But I'm like, bro, you are reaching, and I mean reaching far on that nonsense.
And that's how I feel about Isaiah. I'm like, dude, the league wants to promote Wembanyama. I don't want to hear that saying how they say the league wants to promote Jason.
Miss me with that nonsense.
If they wanted to promote Jalen Brunson, they would have done so. But they're still talking.
Indeed.
They don't even like New York, half the people. They've always said that. Right now, my opinion, and I've also read about Wembanyama that him and Tim Duncan don't have a good relationship.
That is interesting, I guess, because my thing is like Wembanyama has only been in the league for 2 years. Tim Duncan seems to be a pretty reasonable, approachable dude. So what in the name of H did Wembanyama do to piss off Tim Duncan, who's a pretty reserved cat?
Yeah, because I forgot who said it, but they had said that Tim Duncan should, mentor Wembanyama, but the same person said, well, from what they're reading, they're not that cozy. So I mean, one can only speculate because we don't know for sure. Yeah.
But I would have to say that perhaps, there's something here got rubbed the wrong way.
But Prince people are assholes.
The reason I put his picture up is because we were speaking about him for a second. I want to hit on this guy, a guy that I think younger NBA fans need to hear and know about. I'm talking about none other than Bob Cousy,
my man,
the facilitator of
my man,
that Celtic dynasty that was just so dominant in the 1960s. This guy is a pioneer in so many ways.
Yeah,
he famously made an appearance in the movie Blue Chips.
Right.
Nick Nolte talking to Cousy. Do you ever miss? No, sir, he does not.
He does not.
You just take it from the top. This is one of your favorite all-time point guards.
Yeah. Yes, he is. He's actually my second favorite. Of course, Magic is first, but Bob Cousy's number 2. That's the wizard, man. I always saw Bob Cousy as the athletic John Wooden. He had that same persona as John Wooden, the Wizard of Westwood. And true, they played in the 60s, and they're not as athletic as they are today. But when you look at the way they played, and this is why I tell people, don't think the teams from the day will run the people in the 60s out the water. Because if you play by the rules that they play, even a simple layup today is a travel. Right. Your freaking two-step, whatever you do, jump shot, that's a travel. All the stuff they do today is a travel. And especially dribbling the ball. Today's players would fail. They would get picked every time because they can't. Back then, they didn't do crossover. You could do a crossover back then. It was a travel. It was a carry. So you figure you're used to doing that. Now you got to go play a game where you can only bounce the top of the basketball. Thanks. And that's what makes these guys in. Bob Cousy may have played in an era where it was only maybe 13 teams for whatever. But he beat the best of his era. And that's all you
But to
have to
be
do. You beat the
reasonable,
best of
Mr.
his era.
Salam, to be reasonable, if
Yeah.
you have less teams, that also means that you have better players.
Right. That's what people don't
And a lot
understand,
of
because you see a
people
lot of
like to turn the other shoulder on that.
right. Because you look at a lot of teams today, they might go 6 or 7 deep. You got a 15 player roster.
Oh, and Stephen
So,
Ridlon, I'm about to call you out again because I will forever
uh
call you
oh,
out whenever I have an opportunity. Stephen
let's
Ridlon
go.
is one of those Boston fans that likes to make fun of the
Uh,
Yankees claiming
wait,
27.
wait. Is this the same guy that we was talking about last year? That you kept
It's the
saying,
same
I don't want to say
guy.
his name? That's
It's
him?
the same guy. No. I don't have a problem saying his name because we actually have a
Oh, okay.
respectable cooperation approach with one another.
Okay,
Shouts out,
I just
Rids.
wondered.
I would definitely have a beer with you if I'm ever in the Boston area. Shouts out Corey
Okay,
Haggett, too, another friend of yours,
all right.
Mr. Rids. But I'm going to
Okay,
come
I'm just
at you,
making sure.
Rids.
Because
I'm
I
coming
love
for
to
you,
go off the
Rids.
record.
Rids is the type of cat, Boston through and through, like my late
Good.
friend Maddie, who was Boston through and through. But this is the thing:
Matty, wait, whoa. Matty was Boston?
all day,
I didn't know that.
Celtics, Bruins, Red Sox, Patriots.
What? I didn't know that. Oh, shoot. That's a
Now,
revelation.
Maddie, you're not here to defend yourself, so I will take full advantage of that. When Maddie
Well,
was a
Matty,
super young guy,
Matty, I'm not disrespecting you at all. Rest in peace, brother. I just did not know you was a Red Sox Boston fan.
oh, we miss him, and he came up in conversation today because I talked to an old friend from that era. But
Yeah,
funny thing about Maddie that he explained to me,
yeah.
something that I didn't understand,
Mhm.
is that his old man, before the Patriots came to prominence, supported the G-Men because the G-Men were the only show in town in that region.
Right.
That's why you have, like a super giant fan like Mr. Beardo, who happens to support Boston teams but claims the G-Men. He claims the G-Men because he kept it true to the tradition of, I'm assuming, family ranks, where the
Yeah.
G-Men were the only team in town, where other New Englanders, or similar to Brooklynites, when the Nets came out, jumped on Brooklyn. The Patriots fans are a better breed than Brooklyn Net fans because the Patriot
Oh,
fans,
it's far better.
they suffered and then they got to the top, and they were rewarded with the most long-standing dynasty in the history of the NFL. So shouts out to you, Patriot fans. You guys sucked,
Right on.
and you stuck it through.
Right on.
So good for you guys. Good for you guys. But the point I'm making, Rids gave me a lot of hell about, oh, Yankee fans claiming 27 and there were less teams and all this other shit. I'm like, dude, your Celtics are NBA royalty. How many teams were in there when you guys were doing it?
The funny thing about that is, dude, even when the Yankees won, I don't know, 15, 20, there was still a lot of teams back then. The only difference is there were no wild card, and you just had the AL and the NL, and you had your East and West. You didn't have no Central and all this stuff.
So, Rids, my thing to you, brother, instead of being like that when we talk about, the New York, Boston stuff, can't we just agree that the Celtics and Yankees, while both being the standard of their sports during those particular eras, maybe benefited from less teams or whatever you want to call it, but they all count. So stop the baloney, Rids. And at
Well,
the
you know
end
what?
of the day,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, Rids, have a little graciousness, because your dynasty was spawned off of two great giant minds, Mr. Parcells and Mr. Belichick.
Hey, you know what? Let me add to yours myself for our 27 World Series. We played in the same division. Y'all could have won 27.
Yeah, that part.
Y'all could have won 27.
Nobody told you to give us Babe Ruth because your stupid ass owner was worried about his stupid ass play.
Right. So y'all could have won 27.
Acting like he had a play like Chaz Palminteri called the Bronx Tale.
Yeah,
right. Play like that.
The reason y'all hate us is because we stopped you guys from winning 27.
Yeah, be thankful that you have a wild card in place that screwed Don Mattingly as a bench coach out of that ever elusive ring, because Don Mattingly maybe would have, I don't know, had a chance to go in the playoffs in maybe 87 or 86 when they were good enough, if there was actually a wild card situation back then. How do you have the most wins in a decade but nothing to show for it? I'll tell you
Nothing to
how.
show for
There
it.
was no wild card, and the Yankees
No
won
wild
more games
card.
than anybody in the 80s.
Exactly.
Back to the scheduled program. Bob Cousy, to me, what I love about this dude is that he calls it like he sees it. He feels that the rules have been altered. He doesn't like the fact that the fundamentals on certain levels have been left. And make no mistake about it, gritty is gritty. And while this dude might lack possibly in the athletic department, a winner is a winner is a winner. And this guy would have won in any era.
You win, yeah. Winners know how to win.
Got that right.
And before we move on from that, the way I look at it is players adapt. If you take them Boston teams and put them in today's era, the first year or two, maybe after the first year, they might adapt. Because back then, like you said, it was fundamentals. They actually studied players. They play like back to back to back to back.
Yeah,
They play
different times.
So yeah, they studied the game. And as we've seen, and I'm not trying to run it back to the Knicks, but as we've seen today, seeing with the series, the team that played fundamentals won that series.
No doubt.
Let's move it on.
All right, let's move it along. Another guy on this list that I want to hit on. One of my all-time favorite personalities. I'm not old enough to remember him as a player. Walt Clyde Frazier. This guy is class to the max, personification to fashion to the max, and a guy who loves the New York Knicks more than anybody could possibly love the Knicks, maybe with the exception of Spike Lee. Mr. Frazier, to me, is the standard, the standard of what great Knicks basketball is supposed to look like. He and the late Willis Reed, with a really excellent team, and I emphasize the word team, similar to what the Knicks just achieved. I still consider Walt Clyde Frazier the 1A or 1B. It depends how you look at it. I think Walt Clyde Frazier played on better teams than Patrick Ewing. Walt Clyde Frazier would tell you Patrick Ewing is the greatest Knick of all time. Patrick Ewing would tell you Walt Clyde Frazier is the greatest Knick of all time. It's because they see each other as equals and they respect each other. That's to the eye of the beholder. As Walt Clyde Frazier goes, the best compliment I could give him. You beat the logo and you beat Wilt Chamberlain in 2 different NBA finals against the Los Angeles Lakers, who are co-holders of the most NBA titles as a franchise. Walt Clyde Frazier was New York. Walt Clyde Frazier is New York. And Walt Clyde Frazier was ahead of his time in the way he carried himself as a New York athlete.
Before I get on Walt, ain't that something? The Lakers have the second most championships, but the New York Knicks beat them twice on their run. Just like with the New England Patriots. They running things.
Wrong, Idris. Aren't the Lakers and Celtics currently tied now?
Oh, no, they're tied. You're right. So basically, just like the Knicks did it against the one that had the most championships, so did the New York Giants against the New England Patriots.
What's absurd, what's truly absurd,
let's talk.
Is that the Lakers and the Celtics basically have like over 60-something% of all championships won, if not more. That is absurd.
Yep. And like people say, or like to say, but I disagree. They played in the era with only 13 teams. Y'all be quiet.
You heard that, Rids. You heard that, Rids. It only counts. It only doesn't count if it's baseball and not basketball. And don't get me started on the way that they treated the greatest Celtic of all time.
That's right.
Nonsense.
As for Clyde,
rest in peace, Bill Russell, pure class.
Bill Russell. Yep. As for Clyde, he's one of the very few NBA players that you recognize him by all 3 names: Walt Clyde Frazier, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bean Bryant, Michael Jeffrey. Very few got that thing, and that's greatness right there. And
Brett Touchdown Bandit.
And with Clyde, he played in the era where the league was transitioning from just playing like up and down basketball, like I was talking about Cousy, to actually, going between the legs, And I compare that team to this team. And we saw the picture where they got the today's winner, the 2026 winner, and the 72 team, 73 team, split screen on. And I compared them to both because they brought those players together. You know, Dave DeBusch is not a Hall of Famer. Dick Barnett's not a Hall of Famer. Bill Jackson's not a Hall of Fame player. You know, a lot of the guys not. But you know, you hear about Clyde, you hear about the Pearl, and of course Willis Reed. And if you look at this team, you say, who's going to make it in the Hall of Fame? Brunson probably will make it, just like Clyde. Cat would probably make it, just like Willis Reed. And
DeBuscher did make it.
Oh, DeBuscher did make it. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. These guys. Yeah, hats off to Clyde. I used to love David
The thing with DeBuscher, a lot of people forget is that he did a lot of magical things in New York.
Yeah.
He's just as much recognizable, if not slightly more, with his Pistons days.
Oh, you're right. I remember when I was young, when I started getting the basketball, it's like after they won the title. And, you know, I could never pronounce his name. I called him Dave the Butcher. Because I'm like the Butcher, and the Butcher. I just call him the Butcher, and everybody, Dave the Butcher.
Yeah, one of my dad's favorites because my dad remembered him to a level. I want to hit on a couple of just random solo guys before we hit on the final part of this segment or the show, I should say. Tony Parker, what do you want to say about him?
You know what?
I don't like him either. I'll make it clear. I don't like him either.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I will put Allen Iverson in his place. Let me tell you why. Because you know how I like to judge teams, players, by who you had and what you did with them.
Right.
And if you look at those Sixer teams, I mean, they were good teams and good players, but how many were great? You had a very young Andre Iguodala.
That a lot of players could have filled the role of what Tony Parker did for the Spurs. And
I agree.
If I'm hating on him, I don't care because I don't like him.
Look, you had.
I'll tell you who really don't like him. I'll tell you who really don't like this dude. My late father, because my late father had a legit Hollywood crush on Ava Longoria.
Who didn't?
The fact that dude like walked on her, I'm like, my dad was like, "What?"
Yeah, I like who didn't because I was like, "Golly." Yeah, I'm putting Allen Iverson at 10 because of what he did. He's a point guard, but he's also a scorer, and he would take over games by himself.
Point guard list, I put him in the top 5 or 6 on the shooting guard list.
Yeah, because he took over the game to where Parker had Ginobili, Duncan. He had a pretty good team around him.
He had a whole ass system.
And he didn't have to worry about, taking over the game. He didn't have to take over the game. Ginobili took over the game.
That's how I feel. I'll tell you who I put ahead of Tony Parker.
Yeah.
This gentleman right here.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure. Same thing. He can dribble, pass, whatever. But if you need him to drop 20, 25, 30, he'll do it.
While I will be the first to admit that his stats are a little inflated because of D'Antoni ball, and while I'll be the first to admit that his 2 MVPs are a little controversial when you consider that I think Kobe Bryant got punished by the media because of accusations made against him.
Yeah.
Having said all that, Steve Nash was all of that when he was in his prime, and he did it the long way. He did not have...
Yeah.
He and Chauncey Billups are the most notable point guards when I think about it off the top of my head, and recently Jalen Brunson, who will also hit on the way out, as guys who didn't just get it right in the beginning. This is a guy that worked very hard to be at the top of the point guard mountain for a short while. And let me tell you, man, Steve Nash and Amare Stoudemire, although they never won anything together, they were must-see TV. They were must-see TV when they were a part of the Phoenix Suns playing D'Antoni ball.
Dude, we need to do a dynamic duo team. What 2 point guards, point guard, forward, or point guard, power forward.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
This is one of my favorite things to do in the NBA offseason is when we go in on basically what I like to call like hardwood classics when we like talk. And there's another guy that I'm putting ahead of Tony Parker as well, right here. Although he only has one.
I was going to put him there too.
Jason Kidd, the reason I chose the Nets jersey is because while he did win a championship with the Dallas Mavericks against the Heatles, I think this was the best version of Jason Kidd when he was playing with the New Jersey Nets. This dude
and he got them close.
Was sensational.
Yeah,
a really good team. You know, Keith Van Horn, Kenyon Martin.
Yeah, athletic.
They had a squad.
They were athletic. They were athletic.
They were very athletic.
Yeah.
Terry Kittles was on that squad. Richard Jefferson was on that squad.
Yep. A young Jim. Yeah. I love Richard Jefferson. I agree. I put him there too because, like I said, he's one of those guys that he could take over a game if he had to. He didn't have to all the time, but he could. To where Parker, I think Ginobili took over the game more than Parker did.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, I need to see what you do when you're down 10, 15, 20 points. What are you going to do, a point guard? And you didn't see that with Parker. But J. Kidd, Iverson, Chris Paul, they took over the game.
And speaking of Chris Paul, want to give some flowers. Although he never did win that ever elusive NBA championship, I believe that Chris Paul was a victim of them sticking it to the Lakers. Because that trade should have went through because we've seen more ridiculous things happened in the history of the league. Chris Paul, the heartbreaking part about his career is that they were up 2-0 against the Milwaukee Bucks back in 21, only to lose 4 straight. And ultimately, it changed the perspective of how people viewed head coach Monty Williams in Phoenix at the time, former New York Knickerbocker, among other teams he played with. But Chris Paul, while I don't have him in my personal top 10, I do have him in my top 15. I feel he was a guy that always kept it true to the game.
Yeah. He was tough. He was tough, too. Very physical. He was tough.
His best version in terms of individual greatness was when he was a Hornet.
Yeah.
But in terms of being what the point guard is ultimately supposed to be, making others around him better, you look no further than his Houston years or his run with the Phoenix Suns, where they unfortunately lost the NBA Finals after being up 2-0 against Giannis and co. And now Giannis is looking for new homes. It's going to be interesting. But I had to mention Chris Paul, at least a chance to give him some flowers here.
Yeah. Yeah, when he was with the Suns, that was peak mature Chris Paul, CP3. That was point guard. CP3. Yeah, that's when he was a man, he was a leader. Like, either we're gonna do this or we're not. I want to do this. Yeah, that was the best version of Chris Paul, man.
Not pictured, but I do want to give a shout out to Gary Payton Sr. Gary Payton to me is so damn underrated. They call him the glove for a reason. When you look back at history, so many people were on the Sean Kemp train during that exciting Seattle run, and with good reason. Sean Kemp was electrifying. But Gary Payton was the glue. Gary Payton was the reason why those Supersonics teams led by George Karl were always flirting with an NBA title back in that era. It would be kind of dope if Seattle gets back a basketball team. It's kind of crazy to think that they lost one because Seattle is a hell of a sports city.
I was in the military when I was there. I was like, it was great.
The old Key Arena, bro.
Dude,
they
the Kingdom.
They gave the Bulls a series after being down 3-0 to win 2 in a row against the Bulls. Showed some character, and it goes to show you that although the Bulls were a perfect 6-0 in that era in the finals, they played some damn good teams because anybody that could beat the Bulls 2 games in a row during that era was damn good.
Yeah, because I like in that Seattle. I'm about to call them the Seahawks. That Sonics team to the the Michigan Wolverines with Rich Weber, Ray Jackson. They were because they were very athletic, very fun to watch. But it took a team like Duke beat them because Duke was one of those technical, fundamental teams, veteran teams.
Yes, sir. That's why a lot of people can't stand Duke, just like they couldn't stand the old school Spurs under Pop because they were friggin' boring.
Right, and that's how I felt with the Seattle Supersonics. They were that team. They were athletic. They could do everything. But it took a team like Chicago, who was about the fundamentals, to beat them.
And I'm going to take it a step further. Something that Seattle team lacked, although they had all the talent in the world, in my genuine opinion, was mental toughness. Because when I revisit the 1994 playoffs, now granted this is a 5-game series, it's a lot more dangerous to get knocked out as a 1 versus an 8, but I'll never forget hearing Gary Payton, reading something from Gary Payton, saying how he's playing golf. They're up 2-0 against the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
And he's telling his trusted confidants on the golf course that he thinks they're going to lose the series.
Yeah.
People are looking at him all kinds of crazy. Like, bro, you're up 2-0. You got the best record in the NBA. Michael Jordan's not in the league. What the hell are you talking about?
That Denver
and
team.
He says, I know our team, and this is we have won 2 games despite not playing our game. This Denver team is hungry. And Gary Payton said, if we let them win 1, that's all they're going to need to beat us. Gary Payton was proven right, as Dikembe Mutombo had a defensive night for the ages. And an interesting caveat about those same Denver Nuggets. So they come back from 0-2 and defeat the best team record-wise in the NBA in 94, the Seattle Supersonics. Ultimately, the Knicks fell in 7 to the Rockets that year, both 2 seeds. The Sonics were knocked out early by the Nuggets. Fast forward to round 2, the Nuggets are down 3-0 to the Utah Jazz, come back and force a game 7, only to lose in 7. And mind you, this is a team that had a losing record, Idris.
Yes, they wouldn't even supposed to be in there. I remember that
record
team.
In the regular season. That team had some friggin' testicular fortitude. And shouts out to the great Georgetown Hoya, Mount Mutombo, one of my all-time favorite NBA pictures. Seeing him grip the ball in pure joy at the old
laying on his back. God bless you,
Mutombo. Mount Mutombo, just a phenomenal humanitarian and just a man's man, a great man. So much more than a defensive and powerhouse at the rim. This man was a true humanitarian. This man was a philanthropist, and he is sorely missed by his Georgetown brethren, particularly Alonzo Mourning and, of course, Patrick Ewing. God bless you, Mount Mutombo. You were amazing.
No doubt. I like him and Michael Jordan's back and forth because, Mutombo would block your shot and put the no. But when Jordan dunked on him, he's like, he did the same thing. And Mutombo could do nothing but laugh like, he got me,
I could laugh at, there's certain players that you want to see at some point or another in your life. I'm thankful that I've already been able to see Jalen Brunson with Brett, with our really good seats in the Kia Center against the Magic. Back it up way back to like the early 2000s, mid 2000s. For the one little bit of cup of coffee that Mount Mutombo had with the New York Knicks, I got to see him play.
Yeah.
I got to see the Knicks right after Patrick Ewing in terms of right after he got traded. I, of course, saw Ewing in his prime. Bro, little fact about me with my attendance with the Knicks, whether home or away. I lost my very first Knicks game as a spectator. Wow. As a person watching in the Garden. That was way back in 1995. I have never witnessed a Knicks loss since then.
I've only seen one. That's the one here in Charlotte. My favorite moment meeting a basketball player, Dr. J at Rucker Park, man, and
that's amazing.
I could actually have a people a picture of me, like looking at him. And like I said, that's the day I became a Dr. J fan. I don't care if he played for the 76ers. I got his jersey. That's my dude. Oh, what I wanted to say was Tom Chambers. Shout out to Tom Chambers.
Yo, Tom Chambers is a bad boy.
They created a trophy of him dunking, that two-hand dunk he did on Mark Jackson.
Oh wow!
It looks like the Heisman Trophy. They presented to him today. Like shout out Tom Chambers.
That is funny as hell.
Dude, that is cold blooded.
Before we get out of here, I know there's a lot of ways to rank point guards, and I'm only speaking for myself, not for Idris or anyone else. This is not a slight at Steph Curry. This is not a slight at Allen Iverson. I'm talking just pure traditional winning point guards.
Right.
These are my top 5. Magic Johnson, in a couple of words, or maybe a few more than a couple. The ultimate winner of the 80s, a guy who would have won more if he played into the 90s once the Lakers revamped. 5 positions, could do it all. The face of the co-face, let me rephrase that. The co-face of the NBA in the 80s, alongside friend turned foe, or foe turned friend, Larry Bird. Isaiah Thomas, one of Magic Johnson's absolute best friends. The best compliment I could give Isaiah Thomas is that something where a lot of people sell him short, even though he is a bitter old bastard. This man defeated Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Michael Jordan. How many people could say that?
Not many.
Pretty damn cool. Oscar Robertson, the big O. In my opinion, the second greatest traditional point guard. I'd probably put him just behind Zeke for the sheer fact that Zeke did it on a team that wasn't offensively gifted, but Zeke was that dude.
Yeah.
And Zeke was able to unlock Joe Dumars to be a legitimate scoring threat, and the Pistons were a different level of goons. The Detroit Pistons were the motivation for Pat Riley, who was the opponent of them a lot of times, to bring the Bad Boys Atlantic Division version when he took over the Knicks, because the Knicks, he certainly wasn't going to recreate Showtime with the New York Knicks. Bob Cousy, we spoke on him in detail. What can you say? You can't write the story of the NBA without Bob Cousy. And as far as Walt Clyde Frazier goes, the reason why he cracks my top 10, if we're talking just straight up traditional point guards, is because whether you love them, hate them, or are indifferent, the New York Knicks are truly iconic. And Walt Clyde Frazier is the standard bearer. He is, I wouldn't call him a gatekeeper because he's too humble of a man, but he is the standard bearer for what the New York Knicks are supposed to be at their best.
You know what? I'm going with that 5, and it's just with me. I'm flipping Cousy and Isaiah. Well, I'm flipping them, but not like okay. I'm going Magic, Cousy, Zeke, Oscar, like that. Magic. Let me get it right. Magic, Cousy. Yeah, I'm right. Magic. Yeah, I'm right. Magic. Just like that. I'm moving Cousy up to like number 2.
Right.
Magic, Cousy, Zeke, Big O, Clyde.
Now, I do want to make one thing clear. Not only do I consider Isaiah Thomas, in terms of traditional, the second greatest point guard in league history. It's okay, debate me, I'm fine with it. I also consider him the second greatest traditional NCAA point guard behind the same exact guy.
Oh,
Magic Johnson. But I think Isaiah Thomas should be very thankful for a guy who always needs to be heard from, because this gentleman, before we get out of here, we're going to close on my choice of a high note. Jalen Brunson.
He's coming.
He was recently on The View. They talked to him about how, similar to Isaiah, he has the NCAA success. Similar to Isaiah, he has won an NBA title as a smaller guard.
He got a high school championship too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now this is the final Isaiah leap, and Isaiah said this, in my opinion, with a little competitive flair, because the old timers, the OGs of the league, They don't like giving nothing away for free, and with good reason. They're competitors until the day they die.
Yep.
But he challenged Jalen Brunson to go back to back. Because if Jalen Brunson goes back to back, he got him. Or he's right there next to him. And Jalen Brunson, my goodness. What more can I say?
He goes back to back, dude. He got him. He got him.
I think he is the perfect athlete in the perfect time for the greatest city in the world. Because when you consider Idris, something that I find interesting, and you might share my sentiments, when you think about New York, where it's about fashion, it's about money, it's about the city that never sleeps, it's about the phenomenal food, it's about so many different cultures of different genres of music, it's the birthplace of hip-hop.
Yeah.
When you consider, Idris, that some of the greatest athletes in terms of personality have been everything backed up from what New York is. You look at a guy like Mickey Mantle, a country boy, New York Yankee icon. You look at Roger Maris, the former American League home run leader. Andy Pettit's a good one. You look at Aaron Judge. You look at Eli Manning from Mississippi. Now Jackson Dart, same school, Mississippi.
Yes.
You look at Jameis Winston in terms of just public relations and an American treasure. People just love Jameis.
He's a country boy too.
The point I'm making, Mr. Salam, the point I'm making was this man has such a humility to him, and when you consider that he took so much less, where he didn't have to be that reasonable, or some people thought unreasonable to be that unselfish. Jalen Brunson gets it. Jalen Brunson is the kind of person that when he says, I get to play a children's game and make big boy money and live out my dream, he was grounded at an early age, humbled at an early age by a very demanding father who wasn't necessarily going to push him and be like, yo, you got to be an NBA star like me or an NBA player like me. Rick wasn't exactly a star. But you got to be all in if you're going to do it. Because you're not going to be all in. I'm not going to waste my time nor yours. And Jalen Brunson at the earliest of ages, and we're talking like little kid stuff, was meant to be a New York Knick. And thank you, Dallas Mavericks. And it feels so good to say that to another team after we let Saquon go.
Yes,
thank you. And Big Cat. Big Cat this year with the Seahawks. But thank you. Thank you, Dallas Mavericks, for not realizing what you had here. Because Jalen Brunson is everything right with not just the NBA, but with professional sports.
Yep. Our last great player, number was 33. Our next great player's draft spot was 33. Let's go, Nick.
I got to revisit my choice of meta profile pick before we get out.
All right. Well, being with that
ahead of the playoffs. Walking next to Jalen Brunson. What is 11 plus 8, Mr. Salam?
19.
And who wore 19, Mr. Salam?
Hey.
Mr. Willis Reed. I manifested that from the beginning. Shouts out to Jen for getting me the Knicks pin for the Crocs. Those things are magic. This show was damn good. Idris, anything that you want to add? I'm going to shut my mouth and listen now.
This show is going to get better, y'all. Stay tuned. That's what I got to say.
This was a lot of fun, dude. This was Idris. Not that I'm into putting your business out there, but I just want to say one thing. I know from a physical level, you had a very tough day. And I greatly appreciate you thugging it out and doing this show tonight. And we didn't just do a show to be like, hey, we got to meet some numbers and we got to do this. This was a detailed, true assessment of some of the best floor generals in league history.
Well, like I said, earlier, when I was at the hospital, I said, the show. And I was on my way home. I said the show is my lifeline. It's my getaway. So I was going to do this show no matter how I felt. If I could stay awake from the medication they shot in me, if I could stay awake, I'm doing the show. And now once we got started, because I was struggling before we clocked in and we were just talking, I was like, oh man, I might not make it.
I knew
but
you.
Once we got into it, I was like, let's go. Let's go. That's why I was kind of stuttering and slurring a little bit,
Nah.
Yeah.
No explanation necessary. Idris, I'm going to keep it a buck.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty good at this podcasting shit.
Oh, you taught me?
We're only as good as our teammate. And you, through and through, are not just class, but you are a team player quintessentially, and it doesn't surprise me that you have 2 Super Bowl winners in your tribe with that winning mentality.
Dude, this is your show, but this is my baby, man. I wanted to grow.
No, I feel you, man, and I appreciate
that was supposed to rhyme, but it rhymed.
That we've been getting.
Yeah.
I appreciate all the love we've been getting. Shouts out NAFO Mythic Plague.
Oh,
Thank you, Roland Dog. Thank you for all of you who are always showing us love and rocking with us. We try to be the anti-establishment show without completely putting up our middle fingers. We're authentic. We're real. We love talking sports, and we love involving our supporters in every way possible. If you haven't already, please make it a point. Like and subscribe to the channel. The Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. Check out Big Bosco Productions. My man that I'm talking to right now, Mr. Idris Salam, bringing it back to the greatest era of hip-hop, the boom bap era of hip-hop. You can find his music on Bandcamp and most streaming platforms. Also has a dope-ass jazz album called Jazzmatical. Check out Old Man Energy Volume 1, Volume 2, the dirtiest rap album ever made, as well as on deck, Old Man Energy 3. Big Bosco Productions, making a point to check that out.
That's a good promo, man. Dang.
Appreciate you, bro.
That's a damn good promo. I should have recorded that shit.
The boom bap era is still alive and well. Jalen Brunson.
That was good.
I'm going to continue to talk about you. And as promised, very last thought of the evening. Very last thought of the evening.
Oh, dude, man.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Jalen Brunson brought so much joy to so many people with, quite frankly, a performance that I just wasn't completely sure he had in him. And I almost feel like a bit of an idiot for not knowing it. Not quite as much of an idiot as Stephen A. Smith, but yay.
Oh, no one's at that level.
Last thought of the night. Jameson, as promised, I'm not going to let
that dude.
I am not going to allow that travesty go down without constantly bringing you up, constantly showing your angelic face to the masses. I love dogs. I love dogs that wear Knicks shirts. And I love justice for dogs.
That dog wouldn't harm a fly.
Better. We ain't going nowhere on this one. Hold these people accountable. And I'm going to go as far as saying, while I applaud that police dogs get the traditional cop funeral, family dogs that are victims of poor policing should also be held to that same respect and standard. Jameson, you will never be forgotten. And as long as I do this show, I will continue to put up your beautiful face. And we're going to get justice for you. We're going to get justice for you. And I come from a police family, but I don't tolerate poor policing because I had 2 phenomenal police officers in my family. And I don't know who these idiots are, but that ain't it.
And I got to meet one of them. Hell yeah. Let's go.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Announcements to come for our next show. We are out, and enjoy this video. Peace.
Big energy, we ain't playing nice. Kings of New York, ain't no rolling dice. Flexing on these bitches, we the real deal. Ain't no stopping us, this is how we feel. The Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, the island of Queens, we ballin' hard. Fulfilling all our dreams, thugging through the hustle. hustle. Got that grit and grind in this Big Nick energy, we forever shine. So let them know we rockin'. From the garden to the booth, Nick's in the building, bringing straight up truth. With our heads held high, watch us rise and transcend. Big Nick energy, this is just the beginning.